What's up, everybody? Welcome to Clutch's Corner. Let's go ahead and get right on into it. So we're going to start things off with LYFT. Move this right here so I can put this bad boy up. Bam, bam, bam. All right. Okay, so LYFT, and to be honest, it has in post-market already freaking hit its third price target. But hey, we don't really care about post-market. We care about what it's going to do tomorrow. So we'll see if it gives us the opportunity to take this tomorrow. If it does, then I'm going to be looking at the 1650 strike price right in there. Moving into the 30-minute time frame, let's go ahead and see where these pivot points are going to be at. First one's going to be right in here, where you can see all this contention in here. It gets really close within this, but I do think that we'll come and test this point out for sure. After that, we'll come test out this bad boy, where this wicks off of it, wicks off of it, wicks through it, breaks through it, and wicks through it again. If we can make it through that bad boy, we'll come and test out the bottom of this too, where you can see we bounce off here to the upside. We get really close to wicking off of it. We wick through it, and off of it right in here. So I think that'll be that third PT. Fourth will be right in here, where all this contention, you can see wicking off of it right in here, all of this as well. Fourth, and then the last is just going to be that low of the day, where again, you can see all this price action bouncing directly off of it. LYFT looks really good, so good that it might have already done its thing in the aftermarket. So we can see post-market is literally down right where PT3 is. But that's why we do more than one play. We get plenty of options with our options trading. Aha, no pun intended. Nice 2-2 reversal setting up on NEM, especially after push down so heavy. We are seeing it want to push right back up. And if it breaks entry, then these are the spots that we can have for our price targets. I personally going to be looking at the 38 strike price. Should be in the money by the time we hit PT1. Moving into the 30 minutos. Actually, it's actually off the 5, to be completely transparent. First price target is right here off of the 5, where we can see all this is having a hard time with it. If we get above that, though, we'll test the top of this swing high right in here. Then moving over to the top of here, we can see that there is a humongous wall happening right here, and then it's bouncing off of it to the upside in here, having trouble staying below it there. So that's going to be where that third PT is. Fourth PT is going to be right here off of this. We can see all of this is having such a hard time getting above it and staying above it. From all the way over here to here to here. Get above it, we come back down. Get above it, we come back down. We're fighting it. So that is going to be where last price target on NEM is for the daily. And it looks really good. NEM is one of those inexpensive tickers that you can make a lot of money on. That thing moves and builds up some value really nicely. Moving on to pens. Pens, I'm going to be looking at the 32.50 strike price. I literally love every single thing about this price with the delta attached to it. Now, this is just some pure exhaustion happening. Who's in control of this candle? The sellers have control from the high to the close. Buyers have control from the low to the close. And as we can see here, as far as who has control, it is pretty much the sellers that have control. So if they continue that dominance tomorrow, we break to the downside, these are the price targets we'll take out right here off the 30-minute time frame. The first spot is going to be off of this 3. It's so close, but I'm not going to ignore the fact that we were trying to come down. We hit right here and we bounced up like freaking Zaboomafoo the next day, right? So right there is going to be that first PT. If we do break past this, then we'll come test here, where all of these things are wicking through it, unable to break it. If we do break that, then we'll come test the bottom of this candle, where these, you can see the choppiness through here. You can see the indecision in here, right in over here as well. If we can break through that, we'll come test the bottom of this too, where this wicks off of it. These are getting close to pretty much right where it switches as well. And then the low of the day. Pens looks really good as well if the sellers do continue that pressure and that dominance. Moving on into target, and target is an inside day. So for me, I just prepare for it to go anywhere. There's been too many times where I see a red 1 turn into a green 2 the next day, or a green 1 turn into a red 2 the next day. So I don't care which way this thing breaks. I'm just ready for it no matter what it does, right? If it breaks to the downside, we can come down here. If it breaks to the downside, I'm going to be looking at the 165 strike price. If we break to the upside, I'll be looking at the 170 strike price. So those are the two strike prices I'm going to be looking at. Moving on into the 30-minute time frame. Unfortunately, this bad boy is so freaking close. We just can't ignore it. Like it's just the low of the previous day. We can't ignore it. We can't. That would be insane to just be like, forget the bottom of that three and how it bounced up and went to the moon after that. Forget it. That'd be insane, right? We can't ignore that that's there. If we do break that, then we will go and head out to test the bottom of this two and the bottom of this two for just some really simple steps, right? And could it go even further beyond that? Yeah, sure. I'm just not really going to be prepared for it to do that. If it does, hooray. But, these three price targets are the things that I can definitely see it hitting. If we break entry, we'll test the top of this two, the top of this two, and then the top of this right in here. And that is going to be off of the daily high as well. 3 price targets there, but if it does keep going, it could even trigger the weekly entry. We'll see. As far as the weekly goes, we are a nasty one on that, and it did look like it want to push to the upside, but time frame continuity is pushing it to the downside. So if the daily triggers tomorrow and goes, we're pretty much lined up for the weekly as well, and continuing the movement that it had from this push down on that. So yeah, target looks really good as well. Let's go ahead and move into DK. Nice little smaller ticker here with one of my favorite actual signals, 2122 reversal. These things slap. Now you can see the exhaustion in this candle for sure. Who has control? We'll do the same test. Remember, the buyers have control from the low to the close. Sellers have control from the high to the close. And we can clearly see here who is dominating this candle is the sellers. So if the sellers do continue to push that down, we can come see ourselves go through these price targets right here. And with that being said, I'm going to be looking at the 40.50 strike price. Everything about this screams small money to big money. And that's what I'm trying to make. If you go to the 30-minute time frame, the 30 minutos, you can sort of see where these pivots are going to be located at. Right in here, the first one's going to be in this spot, where you can see we have some decisions being made in here, some decisions being made in here, and I think it's going to be off of that wick right in there. Then we'll come test the bottom of this two, where we can see it wicks off of it, wicks off of it, wicks off of it, finally breaks it, wicks off of it to the downside, finally breaks it, wicks through 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 it. What's going on? The algorithm is here pushing it. These are all little late triggers to the algorithm, but it is coming off of here. If we do break through that, we'll test the bottom of the three, where you can see that contention happening right in here. And of course, the big wick off of the three, and then the low of the day from the two. Remember, this is a 2122 rev, so it can have the distance and range to come test out the bottom of that too. DK looks great for tomorrow. Going on to number 6, we're going to go check out or Triple M, whichever everyone you want to call it. I don't mind. 92.50 is the put strike price I'm going to be looking at. And of course, we can see here who has control of this candle. Take your own rectangles and do exactly what I did for the first two. You'll clearly able to see that this is a humongously controlled bear candle, right? The bears are the ones that have control of this. And if they continue that pressure, we'll come test out potentially the low of yesterday. We'll see how far we can take that. As far as price targets go, this one right here is going to be PT1. You can see the fight that it's having in these next two candles. You actually could see it right over here as well, how it has a really hard time getting above and staying above this price. Got really close here and rejected off this. So I think that there's going to be an algorithm in there that we have to break through. And if we do that, then we'll come test the bottom of this two, where this three wicks through it. There's some choppiness happening here, rejection back to the other side. If we make it through that, we'll come test the bottom of this two. And we can clearly see the chop fest all going on through here. And now it's having a really hard time getting past it to the upside and then staying below it to the downside. And moving forward, we'll go to this price target. If it breaks through that, or we can see all these wicks through this, wick to the downside, wick to the upside, to the upside, to the upside, bouncing right off of it, bouncing off of it, wicking through it, and so on. And then we'll test out the low of the day, which is right in here, right in here. So that's what I'm looking at for Triple M. All right, Roblox, another great one. Definitely wanted to push to the downside on this setup here. Unfortunately, just gapped up like crazy. You know, it has some news, whatever that news may be. Don't really care, to be honest. I just care more about price action and what it's doing, and if it gives me an opportunity to make some money or not. This is giving us another opportunity for puts tomorrow, and if we break that to the downside, we're going to be looking at it. This one right here. And again, you know, keen eyes are going to notice this right away when I do. You'll see the wicks off of it to the downside, wick off of it to the downside. So if we come test this out, maybe it'll want to keep pushing down or the algorithm will have switched, but we'll see and we'll react to it accordingly. Price target number 2, you can see the wicks on it through here, the wick right back to the downside on here. The chopping is all going on in this moment. Right here, where we're not going to quite reach for the bottom of the 3 for this price target because we can see all the chopping is going on in this area. And right in here, we can see it as well. So that's going to be where that third PT is. And then, of course, the low of the day. Pretty simple. We're not looking for it to go, you know, much more beyond that with the fact that it is starting all the way up here. And as far as strike prices go, I'm going to be looking at the 35.50. Will be in the money by the time you hit PT1. Really inexpensive with a fat delta in comparison on it. I don't really think that there's a reason to buy in the money at these points, considering your delta isn't going to be much more of a difference, and you'll be paying substantially more percentage-wise for the contracts themselves. XOM, another inside day, setting things up for us, potentially going to go trigger the weekly to the upside. And we can see here that this setup, the exhaustion, and this is definitely showing that it wants to potentially push back up. Usually when tech is falling, gas is going up, gas is going down, tech is rising. So we'll kind of see if that plays out, since a lot of tech things have been having a push and pull because of earnings reports coming up and things of that nature. And then there was a big bleed on them last week as well, a humongous bleed on them last week. So we'll see if that momentum and that kind of tale as old as time remains true. If we break to the upside, I'm going to be looking at the 121. Yes, I'm suggesting to buy in the money on this one because it's 6 cents and you're going to get an incredible amount of value for that. Excuse me. If we break to the downside, I'll be looking at the 119. Oh my gosh, excuse me. So yeah, again, I'm just prepared for this to go either way. I don't care which way it goes. Pre-market's gonna do its thing in the morning, so I don't really care what post-market is showing as well. I care about at 8:30 in the morning when the market opens, where are the current levels at it? Where are the pre-market levels at? Where's my entries? Where's my price targets? Those are the things I care about. I just care about price action, right? And that's what's going to make you a more successful trader is when you remove your bias from things based off of news. Tesla is a great example. Horrible earnings today. They missed their earnings. They missed their EPS. They didn't do good. Low sales in China. And yet it went up $13 when that information came out. So news does not do what we think it's going to do for the market all the time. Sometimes news makes things really unpredictable, which is why our focus should be on price and price action and trends too. You know, trends is going to really help with that too, but price action is king in my opinion. So if we do break to the upside, we'll come test out the tops of this, potentially triggering the weekly. If we break to the downside, we'll come test the bottom of that 3. Moving to the those, you can start seeing where the upside, simple steps. Step number 1 here, step number 2 here, step number 3. The weekly entry is going to be that last price target. If we break to the downside, here and here are the pretty obvious ones. I did zoom in a little bit to the 5 minutes, kind of see like if we do break to the downside, where is that spot that we're going to potentially bounce off of? And it's right here off of this 2, where we were coming down, think we hit this and went right back up. So right here, there's an algorithm that is not, that they're not letting it go below that. If we do break to the downside, we're going to test this out first. And if we break that, then we will continue on to the other spots. So yeah, 8 plays for tomorrow. I hope they find you well. I hope you make some money. If you watch the previous video, you'll see the things that were called out today. Took out every single price. So take advantage of these while they're still out to the public and not in just the private section. And I will see y'all soon. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And let's keep on making some money together. God bless.